see you again.
You too.
Welcome everyone. My name is Mark Kratochvil. I'm a lecturer here at Billy Blue Design College. I've been working here for 10 years and I've been working in the industry, in the photographic industry as a commercial advertising for photographer and also a domestic photographer for 15 years. So it's great to have one of my students back and to have a chat with her tonight about her time at Billy Blue and what she's been doing since she's left Billy Blue. So it's great to have you, Milly.
Thanks, Mark.
And what I'd like to sort of begin with is actually how you began your career in photography.
Yeah, so I straight out of high school, I went to uni, one of the big unis in Sydney, and I did a media comms degree. Like the other creatives have touched on, I knew I liked design and I was, drawn towards a creative industry, but I didn't really know what that looked like for me. And so I went and I enrolled in this media comms degree because I thought, yeah, I'll find my way, but I didn't. I was studying for 5 years and I finished that degree and was like, I don't actually know what I learnt and what I'm going to do. And I know a lot of my friends had the same experience doing the same course. And so I started working in PR, but I didn't love it. And I was photographing for, I don't know, since I was 17 or something, since I got a camera during high school. And that was a hobby. And then someone asked me to photograph their birthday party or an engagement party or something. And so I got paid to take photos, which was really amazing. And so I started taking on a little bit more work. It was a pretty big deal for me at the time to start getting paid to take photos. And I kind of then really didn't like PR, stopped doing that and was like, I'm going to be a photographer. And that was kind of when I found Billy Blue, because the next step was trying to do it by yourself. I don't know, I found it really hard and I didn't want to do it. So that's when I started to look, okay, if I want to make this my career and this be my whole life, I need some people around me, I need some technical skills because I didn't have that. It was a hobby for me. I need some technical skills, I need a network, and that's why I started looking at uni again. And that's when I found Billy Blue.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of information online, there's a lot of tutorials, there's a lot of workshops that you could attend. Why would you want to attend a college and attend face-to-face? Yeah,
it's a good question, because I did try and do a lot of, there's so many YouTube tutorials online, right? You can kind of do those, and I did have people that I knew who were working in the industry who had kind of trained themselves from YouTube and they're still working and they're successful. But I really like education and I like connection with people, and I guess that's why I decided to go and look for that again. And as soon as I came to Billy Blue, I came to an info night like this, and people, lecturers, I met Guy and he remembered my name, and that was so different to my last course. And I could really see how tangible, there's a studio downstairs that I got to work in for most of my course. And for me, just to have a hands-on experience was invaluable, and it gave me way more than anything online. And they are really valuable, and I still utilise them, and we did utilise them while we were studying. But yeah, to have the connection with people who are working in the industry and have the experience was really important.
I was wondering if you could give us an overview of some of the subjects that you covered during the course?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, I was kind of doing photography as a hobby and a passion. And I was like, I'm a photographer. And once I got in first trimester, light and lighting, camera and capture, which you took my class for, I think. Really stripped back the fundamentals, and I was like, I actually don't know a lot of this stuff, and it's so important to get under your belt, so that then you can start having creative ideas, which is what I really enjoyed, and telling stories. So it was the fundamentals that were really important for me in the first trimester, and really kind of knocked down my ego, okay, I have stuff to learn. And then the second part of the course, I guess, was more about finding your voice. And then the third one, I guess we did folio, we did motion design, and so I still learnt new skills because I tried video for the first time, which I loved, and it's now a really big part of my business is doing video and photo. And starting to represent myself as a photographer, as a videographer, so that I would have skills and a folio to take out into the world.
And career prep.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry.
Subject that I do.
Sorry.
Which is all about business. So we do try and teach the students how to run a business and how to be a successful business person.
I'm not saying this, that was my second favourite class.
Okay.
It is really important. Yeah, because I went straight from uni to running my own business. And that class was so important. Sorry.
Excellent. Well, it's obviously paid off. So you're now a very successful photographer. So can you sort of give us a bit of an overview as to what happened when you finished the course, which I think was 2019. Mid-2019?
So when I finished the course, I rolled straight into, I guess working for myself. So I work as a freelance photographer and videographer. So I went into the commercial genre. So while I was at uni, I did try like domestic photography. I tried a whole range of things, and what really stuck was commercial photography. So I rolled straight into that when I graduated. But the most valuable thing I guess I learned from my lecturers was to start picking up work while I was studying. So I was taking on jobs and I was saying yes to things with the encouragement of my lecturers, so that then when I graduated, it was a real flow for me to get into work, and I already had clients. And since then, so I work as a commercial photographer and videographer. I contract with an agency in Surrey Hills, so it's a lot of product, food, wine photography. I do a lot of video, which I really enjoy, portraits, etc.
So the photographic industry is very diverse. There's a lot of different sort of niches and genres that you could be involved in.
Yeah.
When you were first enrolled in the course, did you have a clear idea as to what you wanted to do and when you finished, or did you find that evolved over time?
No, I had no idea. I knew I wanted to be a photographer, and I guess that's why I'm so thankful that I did the course so I could work it out, because I don't know what I would have done without having kind of like the training wheels, or having like a safe environment to try. Because I did a commercial class in trimester 2, we did domestic, and I tried out all these different genres because I definitely didn't know what I wanted to do when I started. And I was also encouraged by my lecturers to take on opportunities outside of the classroom. So I assisted a domestic photographer, and so he was taking photos of kids and families, and I found I really didn't like that. So that was cool. I could, put that aside and say I tried that. And then move into commercial, which was more of a natural fit for me. And then by the end of it, I knew that was what I wanted to do. But I've still spent the last, 2 years since I graduated, still working out what that looks like for me in my career.
So you're not specialising particularly? You're sort of, or is there an area that you
I wouldn't say I particularly specialise in one thing. I do video, I do product, I do portrait, lifestyle work, and I still assist for a lot of bigger, more established photographers, and so I still find it important to kind of dip my toes in different niches within the commercial industry, which for me is something that my lecturers really encouraged me to do.
It's actually a very important point, because working as a photographer, you need to get that practical experience.
Yeah.
So coming from an education background, getting your qualifications here, then it's pretty hard to jump straight into photography. So the assisting step is very important. 100%. So how did you go about getting assisting work?
Yeah, so in trimester 1 or trimester 2, my lecturers were asking me to look at photographers who inspired me, and so I looked at photographers in Sydney, and I kind of compiled a list of people, like, okay, when I finish my course, or in a couple of years, that's where I want to be. And so from there, I feel like it was a pretty bold move at the time, but I emailed them or I called them and said, hey, I'm a student and I'd like to assist you. A lot of them didn't write back because they don't have time, but a couple of them did. And so straight out of uni, I had a few assisting jobs, and through that, like as you would know, the network or the industry in Sydney, it's like quite small, and so from that I've just found my number gets passed. You know, if you do a good job and you turn up with a smile on your face and you're confident, and you know, because assisting is just about having a can-do attitude, your number gets out, and from that I've kind of built this network, and I'm working as both an assistant and a photographer as well.
So the networking is crucial.
Oh, so important.
Yeah, so when it came to networking, how did you go about networking in the first place? Did you draw on your contacts here at the college? And
I don't know if I ever consciously am networking. It's more just like keeping up the relationships that you already have, and for me that was my takeaway from my time here, was the lecturers that I met who were already working in the industry. And so I mean, I think you even asked me, you know, if you couldn't do a job or assist, or someone asked for an assistant, you know, if you're turning up to class on time, if you've got a positive attitude, if you're even just like submitting your assignments with integrity and putting your full effort into it, people are going to notice and pass on your number. So that's kind of how I got started with that, was really utilising the network that I already had here, which is definitely what I was missing before I started. So I'd say kind of say yes to opportunities here, and it will stand you in good stead for when you leave.
It's a very good point, because how you approach your studies, how you approach coming to class, all of those sort of attributes 100%. We lecturers remember, and we do get a lot of inquiries from other photographers, and we want to recommend students.
They like, the lecturers have connections and utilise them. I mean, I feel like I really did, and I kind of made it known to I really blatantly told my lecturers, give me the work, I'll do it. I'll say yes. And I think someone else touched on this before. I'll say yes, and then I'll ask them for help, you know, if I need help figuring it out, if it was an actual shoot or assisting. And so I feel like I did utilise that network, and it's done me well.
You've got to be extremely proactive. You can't just wait for the work to come to you. You've got to go out and look for those contacts. Is there an industry association that you sort of were drawn to or tried to affiliate yourself with? We talked a lot about the AIPP, so that's how I kind of compiled my list to start with. Which is the Australian Institute of Professional Photographers.
Yes, so that's kind of where I started, and then from there, there's a studio that I now assist at in Brookvale, Orchard Studio, with Christian Mishenko. He's been around for a really long time, and so I kind of can feed into his network a little bit, and the people who do get in touch with me or that I reach out to, I have real confidence with that, if that makes sense.
So part of what you do at the college is to actually, at the end of your time, is have a portfolio. So how did you find that whole experience of producing a portfolio? Are you continually refining it? How did it help you with looking for more work, etc.?
100%. It was a really great class, even though some of the other alumni have touched on it. Was quite confronting, I guess, to say, like, put together this work and that's going to be what you go out to the industry with. What I found, though, was that it was a really good exercise for me to reflect on what I wanted to do, so I did a portrait folio. Would I show that now? No. But that's a really good kind of marker to say I need to update it, which I am doing, and I hope, you know, I wish I could say I was continually doing it, but I don't. But it is a good, it was a good kind of benchmark for me, and to have industry come in and critique it, I guess I have a benchmark that I can start with, and I'm actually right now in the process of updating mine. And so I have somewhere to kind of go from already having that uni experience.
So the industry is also rapidly evolving. How do you adapt to, or what are some of the changes that you've seen even in the short period that you've been at the college, or even prior to the college? Obviously the biggest transition was film to digital, and that was just cataclysmic. But since then we've had a lot of other changes in the industry. So can you identify any changes, and how do you sort of keep an eye out on what's happening in the industry 100%. And adapt?
Definitely video is so important. So at first I was like, I'm going to be a photographer, that's what I'm going to do. I named my domain name Milly Mead Photography, which I now regret because I just do video as well. And I find that it's been so important to integrate that into my business because there's demand for it. And if people are asking you, you have to say yes and have that skill set. And so we did a motion design class in trimester 3, and that was my first kind of foray into video. And since then, I've really tried hard to keep upskilling, keep surrounding myself with videographers so I can continually learn and educate myself on video. And then, clients will ask for these things that I'm like, oh yeah, I can do, what did I do the other day? Like a cinematograph. I can do a cinematograph, and then I go Google it or something. There's, I guess it's more motion is tying into the video as well. And so it's just about saying yes and stretching yourself a little bit, not taking giant leaps and taking on something that you can't actually fulfill that brief excellently, but stretching yourself a little bit, which is what I do regularly to make sure that I'm staying kind of ahead of the game.
What were, just taking a step back, what were some of the highlights of your time at Billy Blue?
Definitely the exhibition at the end. It wasn't actually during, but at the end of my degree, we had an exhibition where my peers, we showed our folio. And so that was a really proud moment to kind of see how far we had come and, recognise that like we're going out into the industry, but it's together. And so we are already our own network, was really incredible. During the course.
And since you've left, what are some of the highlights?
Since I left? Well, definitely I went to Tonga in 2019 with Canon and Australian underwater photographer Darren Dew. And that was the most amazing, probably, of my life and a highlight of my career as well.
Very jealous.
Yeah,
It's on my bucket list.
It was amazing. So I spent 2 weeks in Tonga with Canon. We were in the water every day photographing humpback whales, which was amazing. And then off the back of that, I had an exhibition and I entered my photographs into a competition, the Australasia's Emerging Photographers competition. And that was the first time I'd entered a competition, and I did place highly commended in the animal category. So that was, that was a huge highlight for me since I finished.
Okay. What are some of the particular skills that you learned at Billy Blue that you've now been able to translate into your career now as a photographer?
There's so many skills, and I guess it comes back to treating every assessment like it was a job.
Yeah.
I was really enforced to read the brief and understand it and ask questions. Put those dates into my calendar. So while I was studying, I got really into my calendar because four different classes, different deadlines, different assessments. That's exactly what my job looks like right now. I'm prepping for a shoot next week. I'm editing 4 projects from last week. I'm shooting tomorrow, so I've got to have my gear prepped. So those skills, taking on assessments like they're a job. Time management, organisation, interacting with people, interpersonal connections. That was a real highlight for me.
Okay. So what are some of the worthwhile advice that you could give to students who are considering enrolling at the college and students that are currently at the college?
I would say probably what I needed to hear when before I started studying, and to some degree when I started studying, was utilise the people around you, because they want you to do your best. The lecturers here, the staff here, the other students, everybody wants you to do a great job, and they'll support you, and they do become your network. So I would say, say yes and make those connections.
Awesome. And what are some of the features that the college has to offer? For example, equipment studios that you found useful, that you were able to utilise. How did that sort of help you?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a studio downstairs in Sydney. And as well as that, we have like a cache of equipment here that I found that I could borrow. And once I kind of booked into the studio on a weekend, so I could book in on a Saturday and a Sunday, I was trying to be in that studio every weekend, whether it was just kind of playing around and taking a friend with me and experimenting with lighting. And then once I started to take on the jobs that my lecturers were saying, we'll put Milly forward for it. I could come and first of all borrow the equipment that's here and experiment with it, work out how I like to use it, and then I could also borrow that for jobs as well, which was just like invaluable. As soon as I finished studying, I was like, far out. There's not many places that you can just book in. You can book a studio in Sydney. I don't think, a space to just have all the lights there, have all the equipment there to just experiment. And then on top of that, it's also having lecturers here to show that work to and say, what do you think? How could I do it better next weekend? Yeah.
That's the crucial thing, because while you're at the college, you can actually experiment. When you experiment, you can afford to make mistakes and learn, and then
100%.
Sets you up then for the real world, because in the real world you can't afford to make mistakes or too many mistakes.
100%. And also there's not that time, I guess. That's what I found. I don't have like the time to be booking in on the weekends and using it as kind of a test run. But when I do, because I do try and make the time, to still experiment with my work, I must say that I would have confidence still sending that to my lecturers, who are now just my kind of network, and saying, what do you think of this? Do you mind just taking a bit of time to review my work, 2 years on since I've graduated.
So in terms of personal passions and projects, do you have any particular sort of projects on the go besides your continual daily work that you're
I've found that to be really important for me, because after COVID, I also found that it got so busy. There was so much demand for video and photo. So I was kind of flat out from July till maybe February. And so when I finished that, I was kind of feeling a bit like, whoa. And so it's been really important for me to integrate more creative, personal work into my week, so that I can still feel like, replenished and ready to go. And for me, that's portraits. So I love photographing people and I love connecting with people through photography. And so that's what I try and make the time to book in portrait shoots with my friends or friends of friends. And that keeps my love alive. Yeah.
Okay. I think we've pretty much covered most of all the questions that I'm thinking of. I think that pretty much covers it. Were there any other questions that...
Yeah, let's open it up to the audience. Any questions? Maybe? No? Do you have any online questions? I guess similar to, the questions that we asked before, what was your first job out of uni? And how did you go interviewing, or do you interview in photography? I don't even know if that's the right term, but how did you go when you graduated?
Yeah, so I'm a freelancer, so I haven't interviewed for a job per se, but I guess the question would apply to how did I find clients. And so as I touched on before, I was trying to find those clients while I was studying. And initially that looked like going on Airtasker and finding quite like low entry jobs that I could be confident with, with the skills that I had acquired so far. And then from that really gave me the confidence to then just roll into working. And it's kind of hard to answer because all my business is repeat and referral. So I don't really market myself. I do a good job, and then I get asked to do it, asked to come back. And then those people will pass my details on to the next client, and that's how it works for me. But the foundation of that was doing that during uni. Yeah.
So where do you see the industry is headed? What sort of changes do you need to incorporate into your future plans?
What I've been noticing is how quickly the turnaround needs to be. and I guess that as it's definitely changed from film.
Yeah.
But yeah, the turnaround is so quick, and I've even noticed it in the last 12 months while I've been working full time. I do a lot of work for an agency that they do purely social media, and so of course that was so big during the last 12 months, COVID, because people, they want imagery and they want it now, and it needs to be really fast, and so I need to shoot something and then turn it around so quickly. And so for me it's kind of about letting go of perfectionism and going with the flow of what the client needs, and saying, I can deliver that and I'll do a great job and you can have it right now. Yeah.
So you need to build up on additional skills like social media.
Yeah. 100%.
Personal marketing.
Yeah, 100%. I should do that. I don't do that, but I can do it for clients, and I can turn around images really quickly. I can turn around a stop motion video. It's kind of like you shoot it and then it's off. And that's what I've really noticed.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, well, I think we've covered pretty much all of the areas that need to be covered in terms of the photographic career, and also the time here at Billy Blue, which is a real important stepping stone. I believe that, because I actually did a little bit differently. I jumped into the industry as an assistant, and then I sort of was in a situation with the photographers I was working with where I thought, why am I doing this? I don't quite understand it. But it was only when I actually then started studying at that stage part-time that all the pennies began to drop, and I began to understand why I was asked to do certain things. So the education side of it is extremely important, and that interaction that you have with lecturers counts for a lot, and is a really big step forward to help you into the industry, not only in terms of information but also in terms of networking, because all the photographers that work here at the college are all employed in the industry, and we have contacts, and we enjoy, and I love watching my students move ahead in the industry, and it's always great to see people like Milly, and there's quite a lot of students who are doing really well. So you've come across a few students as well?
Yeah, 100%. So as I mentioned, I contract at an agency, and there's 5 contractors, and we were all in the studio one day, and we all found out that we all went to Billy Blue, which is
wow,
kind of amazing. Great. Like all at different times.
We should have brought them tonight.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that really kind of highlights what it means to go to Billy Blue and to go out into the industry and to have people, alumni, working in the jobs that you're going for. That was a cool moment.
We are very practically orientated, so we do encourage and help the students in terms of shooting and in terms of the studio equipment, and encourage them to use it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, thank you very much, Kayla.
Thank you so much, Milly. That was awesome. It was lovely to hear from you.
Thanks.
Guys. And thank you to everyone who watched at home. We did run a bit over time, but invaluable information, and any questions that any of you guys have here, please feel free to come up and ask, and keep sending questions through on Facebook. We'll make sure to get back to you. Thanks, guys.